Hi, my name is Dinko Bacic. I'm assistant professor of computer information systems here at USI, and this is just the first video in a series of videos that I'm creating to assist you in successfully completing individual assignments as part of Module 6. This one is particularly dealing with the Part 2, where you're creating insights from data using Tableau and Excel. Prior to completing this particular part of the assignment, you should probably all complete first the part 1, which is watching and following the steps and getting started with Tableau videos so that you're more familiar with Tableau as a tool. And then as part 2, you're less focused on the features and functionality of Tableau and a bit more on actual doing the analysis and providing insights. So in this part, we are creating insights from data. As you're working on this, in parallel, you're exposed to classroom environment where we are covering some textbook materials relative to theoretical concepts like data warehouses and databases, and moving data to information to knowledge, and it's a lot of theoretical discussion that it might be hard for you to digest just because you might not have actual experience with some of these terminologies and don't have working experience. So experiential learning through actually hands-on application of these concepts through technology is designed to help you actually easier digest that material, because most of you are not CIS or CS students, so it could be somewhat foreign to you, some of these concepts. So the objective of this part 2 is for you to be able to create insights through data preparation, visualization, and dashboards. And in terms of the due date for this assignment, please check video instructor, because we teach this in multiple sections. We created a scenario for you. You are a business analyst working for a recording company, and you're asked to provide analysis to help create some budgeting decisions. In real world, you'll see that most of your tasks are around some business processes like forecasting and budgeting, and this is just one of those scenarios. So more specifically, you are provided with data in Excel format. Again, you should be familiar with this format because in Module 3 we covered Excel. And you will need to convey insights to help design next year's budget by answering the following questions about your data. Now I'll go through these questions one by one, and we'll take a look in parallel at Excel file to see whether we think there is enough data to be able to answer those questions. And sometimes you'll find that there is some missing data. You might find that the data is not rich enough, or it's missing some columns, and you'll have to deal with that. This happens all the time. So first question: which genre sells the most in Europe and Asia? So this is very important for the budget, and having the ability to answer those questions about genre and regions is very critical. So we need to go to our source file and see whether we actually have data that's labeled something like genre or something like continent or region. So we go to Excel, and we first of all, you need to get familiar with the Excel file that you're working for. So you start with the column A, cell A1. If you go all the way to the right, you will see that we go all the way to column V. So there is a decent number of columns in this file. If you go back and scroll down, you see that we have about 2,000 records. This is actually considered a rather small file, but still complicated enough to simply do analysis in Excel and be efficient at it. So now that we know the size of this data that we're dealing with, let's take a look at specific columns to see if they can help us answer the question number 1. So we kind of scroll around and see genre. That's something that we need to know. So this looks promising. There's never a guarantee. Let's see if every record has genre. Yep, I did control down and see if there's any missing records, but it looks like we have every record has a tag relative to the genre it belongs to. Okay, next one is continent or region. Oops, there it is. We have region, and let's see if there are missing data. There's no missing data. This is good. So most likely this is good enough to help us answer that question number one. This is great. Another thing that's implied in question number one is what genre sells. So the question here is the units, the quantity of tracks that we are selling. Let's go to the file and see if we have a numeric value associated with the quantity of tracks. All of these are mostly categorical data. That's not what we need. We're looking for quantity. There it is. And you see the number of sold. So for example, there's 2. If you go, what is that? It's Scorpions in Vancouver. That's great. Okay, so there's a track that we sold in Vancouver. So this is good. We are able to answer that question. Moving on to number 2. Which artists sell the most? And more specifically, show top 20 artists. Do they sell tracks in one genre or across multiple genres? Which you should be able to already pick up that there's a new piece of information we are being asked to provide analysis on, which is artists. So this is a little bit different than genre. This is actual performers. So we need to go back to our cell file and see, do we have something like performers or artists? And we do. Column B, and again, Scorpion, Metallica, Iron Maiden. There's all these different bands. So, and there is no empty records, which is good. So we should be able to answer that question. Again, we're looking for quantity here because it's selling. So far so good. Question number 3. How do our region sales compare to each other? So we gotta kind of compare the regions, tell a story there, and then also assess which countries in Europe and Asia sell the most records. So the new piece of information that's very useful to answer that question is countries. Without country level detail, we wouldn't be able to answer that question. So let's take a look at our file and see, do we have that granularity to be able to answer that question? So album art city, this is close. This is really more detailed than we need, but this is good. Start company, that's all we know. So, quickly going through it, region is not good enough. That's too high because there are multiple countries within the region. So it looks like we actually do not have country, and that's okay. That happens all the time. We need to enrich our data. Luckily, we have data that's more atomic. It's a more granularity level, which is city. Each city belongs to one country, so we should be able to kind of clean this up and add that column, and I'll do that in the next video to do some data preparation. But again, you will deal with this imperfect information in business environment all the time, and actually these problems so far have been very easy. Next, let's go back to our questions. Okay, 4. What does our geographic sales distribution look like? Again, you want to expand sales to more countries. To do this, you need to know first how our sales look like in the countries we are currently catering. So we want to take a look at the country information again. The difference here in the number 3 and number 4 is we're looking for sales, which is slightly different than selling. Sales, while it can be quantity, often means sales amount, revenues. What are the sales, right, versus expenses? So let's go to our file and see, do we have this level of detail? We have quantity, we have unit price, but we do not have sales amount. Luckily, we have the inputs needed to calculate that. So we have quantity and unit price, so simple multiplication will do the trick. Again, we don't have the data that we need, but we have readily available, but we have the input to calculate it. So this is easy to do, and given our Excel skills from Module 3, you should be able to do that. Question number 5, how does the sales trend of rock tracks compare against alternative and heavy metal tracks? Again, this is sales amount, these are the genres, so our file should have this, which is good. And then last is, here's an opportunity for you to show that you are able to provide additional insight beyond what's being asked in the 5 questions. Just provide one more insight you feel is particularly important to have a better understanding of available information. Here's where you want to challenge yourself. So do not treat this as a checklist, so that you show that you can actually use the tool in a less structured environment. So requirement is to create a story that answers about questions using Tableau software and provided data. In the last video I will talk about the actual submission and how to do that. So this is our assignment. In the next few videos we'll talk about data preparation, and then we'll have a separate video for each question to guide you to be able to answer it. So see you, or you see me in the next video. Thank you.